And this is WNYC in New York. Marketplace Morning Report is coming up next. And then at 9 o'clock, it's the BBC NewsHour on WNYC. So let's check in with London to see what London is working on this morning. All right, let's do the weather now. 41 and sunny. Sunny and 48 for a high today and breezy. And then tonight, mostly clear and down chilly and 39. And then tomorrow, sunny and 52 and a repeat on Wednesday with fall-like temperatures in the low 50s and lots of sunshine. It's WNYC.
Good morning, WNYC. I'm Nuala McGovern. On today's NewsHour, an update on the critical situation at Al-Shifa, Gaza's largest hospital, and a cabinet reshuffle for the UK's Prime Minister. A former Prime Minister, David Cameron, becomes Foreign Secretary. That's BBC NewsHour, coming up at 9 on WNYC.
WNYC is supported by Amazon MGM Studios presenting Saltburn, Emerald Fennell's Tale of Privilege and Desire, starring Barry Keoghan, Jacob Elordi, Rosamund Pike, and Richard E. Grant, and select theaters November 17th.
On the next All of It, Pulitzer Prize-winning novelist Michael Cunningham's latest novel, Day, follows one Brooklyn family on the same day in the 3 years spanning the pandemic to examine how it changed their relationships to one another. He'll join me to discuss. And director Todd Haynes on his latest film, May December. I'm Allison Stewart. Join me for All of It, weekdays at noon on WNYC.
It's Monday and there's no deal in sight to keep the federal government open.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by C3 AI. C3 Generative AI provides ChatGPT enterprise search that is verifiable, secure, and accurate across all enterprise data. C3.ai. This is Enterprise AI. And by Odoo, focused on providing all-in-one open-source business management software with fully integrated applications for every business need. More at odoo.com.
I'm David Brancaccio in New York. The money runs out this Friday. If there's no funding agreement by then, the federal government partially shuts down. For investors, America is less of a good bet. Marketplace's Nancy Marshall-Genzer has this update.
There has been some progress. House Speaker Mike Johnson has unveiled a two-part stopgap funding bill to keep the government going temporarily. The first part expires in January. The second lasts until February. The Senate is working on its own funding measure. The two houses have to pass the same legislation, then send it to the White House for President Biden's signature, all before Friday. All the foot-dragging and drama led the ratings agency Moody's to lower its outlook on the U.S. credit rating to negative from stable. Moody's issued a statement blaming the move on what it called continued political polarization in the U.S. It said that raises the risk that, quote, successive governments will not be able to reach consensus on a fiscal plan to slow the decline in debt affordability. It's gotten much more expensive for the federal government to borrow because interest rates have risen. Moody's did not downgrade the U.S. credit rating. It's still at Moody's highest AAA level, but other credit rating agencies like Fitch have lowered their ratings to AA+. I'm Nancy Marshall-Genzer for Marketplace.
S&P and NASDAQ futures are both down 0.3%. Using Mortgage News Daily's calculation for average 30-year fixed-rate home loans, we start the week at 7.56%, up late last week, but still well below the 8% peak on October the 19th.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Amazon Business. From small business to big enterprise and everything in between, Amazon Business helps simplify the supplies buying process. Amazon Business, your partner for smart business buying. And by How We Survive. Climate change is dire, but it does not have to be world-ending. Tune in to the new season of How We Survive from Marketplace.
Now to a voice from Los Angeles about the unaffordability of that city. About a quarter of people working in the leisure and hospitality industries there are Latinx. And of those, Latinas face a gender wage gap that, according to one estimate, means Latina workers miss out on about $1.2 million in pay throughout their careers. And U.S. News has identified L.A. as the second most expensive city in which to live in the U.S., just behind San Diego. These gaps are part of what's fueling the current hotel workers' strike in Southern California.
Strike for over 4 hard months. This is not just your fight, it's all of our fight. Luchamos juntos.
My name is Brenda Mendoza. I'm a uniform attendant at the JW Marriott. I've been working at the Marriott for about 14 years now. When I first started working at the hotel, it was my first hotel I've ever worked at. For me, it was, super excited working on a new property that was just finished being built. And, the pay rate back then for me it was great. I got to the point on April of last year, seeing that the rent was almost hitting $3,000 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom unit. I said, that's, a payment for a house. So I took that leap of faith and I purchased my home. But my home, I had to purchase it in Apple Valley because that's where I was able to buy it. I wake up at 3 a.m. We have to be out of the house by 3:30 to be able to make it to my first boy's job that he starts at 5:30 in the morning. My shift starts at 7 in the morning, so I have to leave my husband at 6:30. At his job, so he waits quite a while because he starts at 8 a.m. in the morning. So he's the one that waits outside until his shift starts, and I keep the car. It's been difficult, having to sacrifice, not sleeping much like I was before. I get tired of driving basically 100 miles coming down and going back up. But, we make those sacrifices for our family to have something, for the future. When we go into work, we put everything. We give our energy. We give the better of ourselves. We don't want to be overworked and underpaid. We want to be treated as equal. And I come from my grandma, my mother. They were housekeepers. So I see the work that they put in, how physically, the job is, and how they're left after working so many years. Physically, they're just tired. They're hurt from everywhere. My grandma passed away August. She had so many health issues, that probably if she would have taken care of herself back then, but she needed to work. She gave everything to doing the housekeeping position. Since she's worked her whole life doing that in hotels. So, that's one of the reasons why I push and I help, the union and coworkers to, help us so we know that we can have something better for the future. And it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a challenge, but we have to fight for what we believe in and what we deserve because we put in so much of our lives into these jobs. Physically, it's, tiring. It's just a lot. And sometimes we make sacrifices like I do, along with my family.
A view from striking hotel worker Brenda Mendoza, who lives in Apple Valley, California, a bit like moving near Philadelphia to work in New York City. Marketplace's Erica Soderstrom produced that. 3 big Los Angeles hotels have struck deals with workers in that ongoing strike: Loews Hollywood, the Westin Bonaventure, and the Biltmore in Los Angeles. And United Auto Workers members continue to vote on tentative contracts with Ford, GM, and the Chrysler Jeep people. These are not slam dunks. On Friday, workers at a GM assembly plant in Flint, Michigan, narrowly said no to the contract. Meanwhile, at some Ford plants in Kentucky, there's no aggregate tally, but production workers said no, but skilled trade workers said yes, as all the locals continue to vote. In New York, I'm David Brancaccio with the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.